Real communication occurs when we listen with understanding. This is a quote by Carl Rogers, an American psychologist. Communication is the ninth dimension of wellness in John Travis's Wellness Energy System. What do you think Carl Rogers means when he says listen with understanding? Well, he may mean that we not only need to hear the information that somebody is saying, but we also need to be empathetic to their feelings and attitudes to truly get where they're coming from. Are you a good listener? If so, you are rare indeed. Many people are just thinking of what they're going to say next when they should be listening to you. Why is listening important? For one thing, it can improve our overall wellness by reducing stress. For the speaker, it reduces stress because they feel acknowledged and affirmed. And for the listener, it can reduce stress because they're creating an atmosphere of harmony. Dale Carnegie, author of the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, relays a story of being at a dinner party. There he was introduced to a botanist, and Dale Carnegie loved botany. He said, "Oh, can you please tell me about your profession and all the things that you do?" And the botanist said, "Sure," and he proceeded to tell him about exotic plant species and the research that he'd been involved with. And Mr. Carnegie sat and listened with rapt attention. At the end of the evening, the botanist sought out the dinner party host and said, "That Mr. Carnegie, he is most stimulating and a most interesting conversationalist." Why do you think he said that? Mr. Carnegie had hardly said a word. Well, Dale Carnegie had paid the botanist the highest compliment. He listened with genuine interest. Now, this is a good example of passive listening. There's also active listening. You may have heard of active listening. Active listening means being part of a conversation and working to develop rapport. There are at least three parts to active listening. There's paraphrasing, inquiry, and acknowledgement. And I'm going to use two little stuffed animals here to give an example. Let's call them Bert and Ernie. "Hey, Ernie." "Hey, Bert." "Hey, Ernie, how's work going?" "Well, not so good, Bert. My team doesn't seem to be working very well together. We don't know how to manage our projects, and we don't seem to be getting along very well either." "Oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ernie. It sounds like your team isn't working very well professionally or interpersonally." That's an example of paraphrasing. "What do you think you could do about that?" That's an example of inquiry. "Well, maybe I could ask my team lead if there's any trainings that they could offer here at work that would help us learn to manage our projects better and maybe get along better." "Hey, that's a great idea, Ernie. I hope it works because it seems like this has been kind of stressful for you." Acknowledgement, an example of acknowledgement. "Yes, it really has. Thanks for noticing and thanks for listening, Bert." "You're welcome, Ernie." Okay, so that was an example of active listening. There's also in communication an issue that arises when we're upset, and that's the tendency to use the word you instead of the word I in expressing your feelings. Let me use another couple little animals here to give an example. Let's call them Lucy and Ricky. "Hey, Ricky, your dirty dishes were in the sink this morning. You are such a slob. You are so inconsiderate." "I am not a slob, Lucy. I'm not inconsiderate. You are." So you can see how this approach using the word you can cause defensiveness. So let's give it another try. Let's do another scenario. "Hey, Ricky, I'm really sad. I noticed your dirty dishes in the sink this morning, and I thought we talked about cleaning up after ourselves." "Oh, I'm sorry, Lucy. My alarm went off late, and I didn't get up in time to do my dirty dishes." Can you think of a solution to that, Ricky? "Yeah, how about if I get another alarm clock and use that as a backup? That way, if the first alarm doesn't go off, the second one will, and I'll get up in time to do my dirty dishes." Thank you, Ricky. So you can see where the first scenario was an invitation to fight. The second scenario was an invitation to find a solution. Now, finally, how would you like a magic phrase that would stop arguments and create goodwill? So let me tell you what it is. I don't blame you one bit for feeling the way you do. If I were you, I would feel exactly the same way. Now, this phrase can soften the most disagreeable person and be totally sincere, in that if you were them, you would feel the same way. Most of the people you're ever going to meet are in desperate need of empathy. Using this phrase can help you connect with them. So in closing, if you don't use these communication techniques already, might you consider using one of them, the passive or the active listening, using the word I and expressing your feelings instead of the word you when you're upset, or the magic phrase. Might you consider using one of these, just one, today to improve your overall wellness?